Okay, so I'm one full month into retirement now. And I'd love to say it's all gone exactly as I planned and all the feelings that I'm having I expected and that kind of thing, but that's just simply not the case. I'd really like to hear what you guys experienced if you recently retired or maybe even not so recently, and what you think if you're planning to retire. How do you feel like you're going to feel like I feel, or do you have it all planned out maybe a little better than I did? So let me break it down a little bit. So again, I retired the first week of May, and here we are in the first week of June, and we've been through some stuff. I don't want to go through the whole thing, but I'll put a couple of cards throughout the video to some I guess YouTubes that we've done since that time. Uh, and there's been good times there, and I do feel like I'm now starting to settle in a little bit to the whole idea of not having a set schedule and not having to get up every morning and take off and go to work. But I don't think Robbie and I kind of planned for the difference in our communication, maybe, and maybe the difference in our, I don't know, engagement with each other. I mean, I don't want to give the impression that it's bad or that we're having trouble or anything like that, but I do think that it is a bigger deal than maybe I was planning, and I think she would say the same thing. She happens to be at work today, so she's not here when I'm recording this video, but she will watch it before I publish it. So I want to make sure I don't say anything that puts her in a bad light in her own mind, even. So um, I'll run it by her first. But let me give you a little bit of I guess, a taste of what I'm talking about. We spent a lot of time over the last year in our videos and just in our life talking about the financial planning side of retirement. And I am pretty comfortable with where we're at financially. I don't really worry much about our future in that way. And Robbie's a little more worried about that. And while we had talked about that difference before I actually pulled the plug and retired, it is a bigger deal than maybe we were even planning on. And I think some of that is, I'm confident in the advice we've been given from our financial guy, and Robbie is too. But I think maybe I'm a little more comfortable starting to draw from our savings, and that really makes Robbie nervous. And I understand that it makes her nervous, and I understand that that's just it's a little bit of tension. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not giving her enough, I guess, reassurance that things are going to be okay, or I'm not able to find the way to give that reassurance in a way that it's received well by her. And we're working on that. Like we're trying to get through it. We're trying, one of her things is she wants to see us go through a month where we actually stick to a budget. And, for a couple of people who really just started budgeting in the last couple of months, we don't really have a good idea of what our normal buckets would be for each individual budget item. So naturally, couple that with some things that have come up in the last couple of months that you don't plan for every month. And, our budget's been a little bit wacky. Now, we haven't been way over. We definitely haven't been under. And I think that's what she's looking for to see, to gain some confidence that we're going to be able to make it with the money that we're taking out of our retirement accounts and the pension that I'm getting and the money that she's making when she's still working a part-time job. But again, I think I'm comfortable with it. And even if we go over, I know that there's a cushion in there and we're okay. And Robbie is just a little more, I guess it gives her a little more angst than it does me. And I don't want to make it seem like she's out of line. I just think that's the way she is. And where that becomes a problem for us is I don't think about it and she's often thinking about it. And I need to be able to understand that as we go forward. Another way that this new retirement life has caught me a little off guard is I didn't realize how much I liked the autonomy maybe of going to work. Like, and it's not like I don't want to share what I'm doing with my wife. I love her to death, and I don't mind that she knows everything that I do. But in her attempt to do those things, she asks me a lot of questions. And before I could just say I'm going to work and I'm doing things at work that she's not really engaged in. So it wasn't a big deal for me to just say, yeah, I'm at work today and I've got a bunch of meetings and blah blah blah, and that's where it would stop. And I didn't have to maybe engage at the level that I'm finding that she needs me to right now. And again, this is a me problem. I think that I'm used to kind of doing things on my time, and I do things the way that I do them. And, if I don't think it's important to anybody else, I just don't think about telling anybody else about what I'm doing. And she's much more, her caregiving nature is she really wants to know what I'm doing kind of on I don't want to say like she needs to be in my business every minute because that sounds negative, but that's not what I mean. But she really wants to know how I spent my time, what I did during the day, not in any negative sort of way, but just kind of to stay connected. And, I guess this has become something that I didn't realize we were a little bit different this way, is I don't have the desire to know kind of most of the minutia of her day. That doesn't bring me any sort of joy or any sort of, I guess, satisfaction, but I think it does for her. And I have to get over the idea that maybe it feels a little intrusive that she asks a lot of those questions, because I know she's coming at it from a good place. And if I don't answer them, then that feels, I'm sure it feels to her like I don't want to say hiding something, but it feels like she doesn't have a right to know. And I don't want her to feel that way at all, because she does have a right to know. And if she gets, some satisfaction out of understanding kind of what I did all day, I need to feel good about giving that to her. And that's something, again, that I probably wasn't planning on this feeling. And again, it goes back to that kind of, hey, I left for work at 6 a.m. and I come home at 4:30 in the afternoon. And what I did during that time was my time. And I told her on a high level what I did, but never kind of on the minutia level that I do now, or that she kind of wants from me now that I'm retired. And I kind of wonder, does she want me to ask those questions of her too? Because that's something that fills me up. That's not something that I need to know. I'm totally comfortable with the decision that she's making, whether I'm there or not, with the things that she's doing. And I want her to have the freedom to just do them without feeling like I need to tell Rich or I need to ask Rich. And yeah, it's just, that's a little bit more of an adjustment than maybe I was planning on. Maybe the last thing that I'll touch on today is the idea of filling up our time. We've mentioned it in a couple other videos that yeah, we're not having any trouble filling up the time. Like every weekend for basically the rest of the summer up until August at least, we are going somewhere or somebody's coming to see us, so that time is filled up pretty well. And even during the week, there's a lot of little things that I'm doing. And as I've mentioned in other videos, I'm starting up a new ministry at our church, and I'm really trying to let God lead me in that. I'm able to spend time every day in the Bible, and I'm actually using a study Bible where I read a chapter and then I read all the notes on the chapter, which is something I've never done before, and something that I'm really getting a lot of joy out of. And I have the time to do that, and that's really nice. And I think, again, this ministry that I'm starting, it's starting to pick up some steam. It's going to start taking up some of my time. But I'd be lying if there weren't times where I'm sitting on the couch going, boy, I should be doing something right now. But, I would say a month into this, because we've had some things happen in our family that have kept us really busy about half of that time at least. Now, just this week, I'm kind of settling into, hey, it's okay to sit on the couch and look at my phone for a while, or watch other YouTube videos for a while, and not feel like I need to be accomplishing something else. And that was, maybe I thought that's the way it was going to be right from the start, but it has taken some getting used to. So, even though I'm not worried about filling my time, and I have started into some of the activities that I was really looking forward to, like I'm playing pickleball 2 or 3 times a week, and I've been out on the golf course or at the range way more than I was able to do while I was working already. So those are the parts of retirement that I think I'm really going to enjoy. And then again, time I'm getting to spend with God and time that I'm going to dedicate to some volunteer things. Those are slowly filling up my time, but there has been a little bit of time where you sit there and go, okay, now what? Like just as an example, today I was planning on mowing the lawn because I wanted to get it done. We're going to be gone for a few days later this week, and I wanted to get it mowed now and then again before we leave, so it wasn't super long when we got back. But I got home today from pickleball, and I did a couple other things around the house, and then I just started looking at the yard, and I'm like, it's not that long yet. I could wait till maybe tomorrow afternoon and then mow it, and then I wouldn't have to mow it again until after we got back from our few days away. So it's good to have those choices, right? It's good to have the freedom to be able to say, not today, but you know what? I've got all day tomorrow too, because I'm retired. So it is, I don't want to say I'm struggling. I don't think I'm struggling. I think we as a couple are growing in this together, and it's not always smooth. There's some bumps here and there. I'm confident we're working it out. I think Robbie's idea of what we were going to look at like in retirement hasn't been exactly true, and the same for me. So even though we spent, along with you as we've been doing these videos, the last year kind of preparing for this day, it's a little bit different. And I think you'd be well served to think, I'm going to make some plans. I'm going to have an idea of what it's going to go like, but be open to the idea that it might not be exactly like you think, so that you're not disappointed. In response to pretty much every video we do, someone comments that they can't retire because of health insurance. And we retired earlier. I retired at 59 and a half. So we are going to use my company's Cobra plan for at least a while. But there are options out there, and they're not all super expensive. I just feel like people of my generation feel like if you're not working, insurance is the barrier to retirement. And that's not necessarily true. So take a look at this video where we kind of talk through some of the options that we looked at before we decided to land on Cobra, and maybe that'll help you come to a better decision. Thanks for watching, and God bless.